Alright folks, my name is Freyn and welcome today to the STB-1. This is actually a full video dedicated to the tank this time, and I've got a few clips taken at various stages throughout my module grind. Starting out here with completely APDS. Now you may notice initially that I have full ammo, 50 rounds, and that is because with the stock accuracy on tanks like this, it is not something that you want to rely on to hit, so more ammo is better, and to be perfectly honest, the tank doesn't really survive a lot of shots to begin with. That out of the way though, I am on Middle East and I've chosen to come up into the sniper hill. It's the biggest advantage this side of the map gets, and yeah, you may as well make use of it until they hopefully do the right thing and balance this map out properly. I don't have a great deal of targets initially here. There is this IS-6 head on, and it's going to be kind of difficult, especially with the stock accuracy here, to get a good hit on him, get some good shots into the right parts of the tank. Just had someone beside me explode to an Object 120, so little concerned about where that might be. But for now, let's keep trying to get this IS-6. Now he's missing a crew member already. My first round there just hit the front of his turret, didn't quite cause damage. Second one, without moving the crosshair, has dropped low into his upper plate. As I said, stock accuracy not great. Third one into the turret ring. So let's try and get the lower plate now, finish him off, and unfortunately manage it. The accuracy with this is not unique to the STB, unfortunately. Pretty much every vehicle that has this gun is incredibly bad at stock. Now, engine there on an M47. You can also see the massive zoom that this has. Commander gunner. And yeah, he's quit out there, so that's another kill and another target just driving into view. Engine. Again, between the accuracy and the low APDS spalling, this is an absolute nightmare. Now, I was under the impression this is an Object 906. Turns out it was actually a PT-76B, so I needn't have feared it and waited for my shot there. It's a very, very different tank and a lot less dangerous. Well, that's 3 kills down, so not a bad start for... Well, it's not a bad tank, but it's certainly not one that I've fantastically enjoyed during the grind. We've got an Object 120 over the far side. I know the rough range over there, so that gives me a good starting point, and it also allows me to thankfully know that this is the shell deviation that's causing the problems and not my aim. A lot of the times with a stock tank like this, you aim it for the target and you miss, and you think, okay, well I must have got the range wrong. So you adjust your range and you fire again and you miss, but this time the shell went over instead of under, or yeah, and that can really be a pain, because you have no idea whether you're getting your shots on, well, not getting them on target, but you're ranging them properly and the gun is the problem, or if it's your range finding, your accuracy that's the problem. So knowing the range already is very useful for me. I don't need to adjust, I don't need to keep trying to correct for the gun. But there is 2 Object 120s over there, and they have completely shut down a large part of the map, and as you can see from my team, it's not going very well for us. There's also a T-54 there, just at the bottom of the screen. I can't quite peek for him due to the presence of these 2 Object 120s. I'm just taking the shots I can get. This does have a stabilizer, and it's pretty much its one advantage over the Leopard, so I'm trying to make use of that and just take these shots extremely quickly. Pop out, fire, pop back with as minimal delay as I can. Doesn't always work, but it can come in handy. There we can see the shell flying straight into the ground. Other 120s just revealing himself. I've still got to be aware of this T-54 though. And with the incredible zoom of this tank, it does limit your field of vision. But that's the T-54 down. APDS causing abnormally high amount of damage there. And the two 120s still in the distance. Again there you see peak, fire, pop back in. But as you can probably tell from the minimap, this game is all but over. Nothing really happens after this point, so we'll move on to a different clip this time with a few more upgrades. So here we come to Normandy. This time I have the first of the accuracy upgrades, and as you can see I also have the HESH or HEP round as the game likes to call it. I've not taken position at my normal spot at the monument, as I'm fairly certain that I won't be able to get the one-shots I crave, and we'll just end up getting pinned in and in a whole heap of trouble. APDS there through the front of the AMX-30, that's more the damage that I expect with that round. See, I just damaged a couple of crew members. The HESH round is the second shot there, not serving me much better. It is pretty decent for side shots, not so great with frontal shots, especially on sloped armour. But my main problem with HESH, and the main reason I don't use it so much, is I just don't find the damage reliable. Sometimes you can hit an upper plate and it won't really cause much damage due to the spalling angle being perpendicular to the armour. But it will also take out the barrel and the tracks and just completely cripple the external modules. And then other times you achieve nothing. Sometimes it will blow up an ammo rack, others the entire round will be absorbed. Even the FV-4005's 183mm HESH round I've had absorbed by a small ammo rack. But fortunately this AMX-30 has given up a bit and backed off. He's now above me, but there is an Object 120 over here that I don't really want to leave alive. HESH does hull break, so that's a very easy kill there. And the AMX-30 is being engaged by this Carnarvon, which will keep him occupied, allowing me to pop out, and as I said, great for side shots if you can get them, just knocking out his whole turret crew. It's certainly not one of my favourite rounds to use, and I'd certainly consider it worse than, say, an APHE round, where typically just penetrating the tank will do enough. For HESH, you need to be much more precise. You often don't have time for a very precise shot, but you need to be hitting things like turret roofs, or sort of turret rings where you can get the shell to go down through the whole roof like a HE round. And that's just not always possible, so it's not something I make a great deal of use of. But it worked out for the Panther II there. I was able to get a side shot on his turret, take out the breach and all the turret crew in it. Second round to his transmission, again, had it been a solid round from, say, the Seabass 120mm, it would have gone straight through and killed all the crew behind. Or if it was an APHE round, it would have typically penetrated through the transmission and then blown up behind. HESH isn't going to do that. But we are making progress. We've got 3 kills and we're gaining a good bit of control of the map. Arado taking out front the T-29, and I'm rather keen to not be the next target, so we'll move up and we'll tuck into one of these streets. Now we have just lost Vickers MBT over here to an M47. I don't really know where he is, but there are shots coming from around this corner, so there's a good guess. First we have a Yak Tiger. Obviously missing a lot of his crew there, as that only took the one hit. And something else behind him, Tiger 1. So we take the cupola hit, that gets rid of pretty much the entirety of his turret. But this is just showing again the unreliability of the round. Hits the T-54, it goes through his mantlet, gets the gunner, but nothing in the hull. The next round, to the opposite side, ends up getting nothing in the turret, but everything in the hull. And it's just not something I'd like to rely on. But he is down, Tiger's backed off, and I think been taken out by someone else. So, missed out on another potential kill there, but as long as it's safe, I'm not about to get swamped by tanks. I'm happy enough. There's been a lot of games played with this tank in the past week, and well, it was probably about 40 games into it before I got something I even considered to be usable footage, at least usable for the purposes of this video. That previous game on Middle East, to get to that state at least of having the ability to put out fires, that's already almost 100,000 RP, which is a horrible amount in a lot of games. It does fortunately start to get a bit quicker once you get a tank that is semi-capable of functioning. That's back to the game again. We have a few people decapping their points. A lot of their team is up into the air, so I'm trying not to get myself seen if I can avoid it. And we are sort of entering the state of spawn camping now. There's something in those bushes, and again, not to make this commentary too much about the ammunition, but HESH does not go through bushes very well. It will frequently be absorbed by foliage, it can't go through fences. And so it's not the best for taking out what's behind there, but I'm pretty sure it's a Lorraine. I can see a gun barrel, and it's going to do much more damage than an APDS shell, so finally got him on the third round. Something else there behind those bushes. Take a complete guess shot, and yeah, didn't end up killing any of the crew in his turret despite hitting dead on there, but managed to take out the ammo rack. It's just such a random shell, and that's where the problem comes. The L7 and all L7 equipped tanks right now are in a very bad place because they don't have any ammo you can really trust to do the job. But certainly unlocking HESH has been a definite improvement. Not something I thought I would ever say. Just bounced a hit there from AMX-13, so he will struggle in my frontal armour a bit. I don't really consider the STB to have good frontal armour. It's probably about on par with the Leopard. The turret, in fact, is a bit weaker than the Leopard in my opinion. It bounces less incoming rounds from my experience. Certainly my STB has died more with shots to the mantlet. Now I was a bit concerned with this Panther 2 here. I already know I can kill them with HESH from the front, but I thought there was a good chance he would be looking at me and APDS will go through his frontal plate. Turns out he wasn't looking at me, but yeah, through the frontal plate, get those crew. It was a better choice than HESH in the end. Still, let's move on to another game. This one is now over. And so we now come to advance the Rhine with all my accuracy modules and HEAT FS unlocked. HESH not doing the job there against that T-62. I hit just slightly too low. Instead of hitting his turret ring and blowing down through his whole roof. I ended up hitting his upper plate with minimal damage. Change to Heat FS and a different tank pops out, which Hesh would have actually suited a lot better. We've got the Heat FS now, and that goes through the T-62's upper plate just fine. Seabass is down to a Rakitan, so that should be the B point clear. And I'm going to push forwards through the park. Certainly not my favourite area of the map. Not one I like to visit. But the STB does blend in reasonably well. M48 over there. Can't quite get a shot. And we've also got an IS-4 coming through, who equally well hidden from me. So we're going to back up and see if I can get a hit on this M48. Didn't quite know if he'd seen me there. He stopped just as I started backing out. He didn't seem to be looking at me too much. Non-penetration, a bit frustrating with 400mm of pen, but never mind. Back up and prepare for another chance. Here he comes. Gunner track, that'll do. And yeah, he ended up jetting out for some reason. I mean, there was a chance that I might not have done anything with that next round. In theory, shouldn't, but sometimes it happens. Now, for me, Heat FS almost entirely replaces the APDS. Neither has particularly great spalling, but the Heat FS has got more pen, especially at angles. It's got slightly better spalling, and it hull breaks. But there is still one reason that I am bringing some APDS, and that is because heat can't go through walls. It's just the same as Hesh in that regard. It's a chemical round. It won't go through walls. It won't go through bushes. APDS will, so I still need some APDS in there. Well, we picked up another kill on the BMP while I was talking there, and we're moving our way back towards the A point. It's the only area of the map we don't have. We don't need it, but I'm on a hunt for research points, and more kills will definitely produce that. AMX-30 just killed off an E100 at the C cap, and there's a heavy approaching it, so just in the back of my mind need to know that there is a threat over there and I might need to head over soon. We'll grab the A point first, as we've got a lot of people here and it will cap very quickly, and then let's go and see what we can do. Team's done pretty much a complete switch here, and everyone is now over at the C cap, as are all the enemies just up this road here. Unlike everyone else, I've decided to go around and get some flanking shots. So, first one there into the side of the Foch, finishing him off. There's still a T-54 up this road, and potentially a few more, as this is their spawn point. I don't want to go too close. I'll get marked on the map, they'll know I'm coming, and it is a risk. Obviously, picking up kills at the end of the game isn't really a good display of a tank's capabilities, but it does show the ammo, at least in this situation, so we're going to keep this in. First off, Seabass, aim for the ammo rack in the back. Can't empty that ammo rack, it's always there. It's got very thin armor around it, so it blows up quite well. And then tried to go for the ammo in the T-54 there, but he's missing a bit already and it didn't make it through the fuel tank. Heat FS does get absorbed by fuel very easily, so if you can avoid it, It's certainly recommended. That's game over, and on to clip number 4. We're now on Eastern Europe, not European province. Same map, slightly different layout. We'll come up the hill, going for the flanking here. The STB does have reasonable turn of speed when it's upgraded. It's allowing me to get out onto the flanks quite well. Shoot a Pershing in the side there, the premium Pershing. There's a few trees going down just ahead of me here, and I don't know what. There he is, AMX-13, the premium with the additional ATGMs. Got to fire the 50 cals first to knock down the fence, and then hit his ATGMs and blew him up. Little short on the AMX-30 there. And again, I could shoot to knock down these fences, but I don't want to give myself away too much. Oh, Soviet TD, take out his engine first, and then knowing he can't turn on me, intended to go back to shoot at the AMX-30, but he's popped smoke and I don't have a perfect idea where he was because I've moved since. So we'll refocus on the SU-100, finish him off. Let's make a quick check to see that I'm not the target for the aircraft. And then we'll try and find a new target. There we are. Also, just a tip of the engine there showing from the AMX-30 again. Didn't manage to hull break this 906, which was a bit disappointing. The second shot took care of that. And here's where the mistakes come in. The AMX-30 was obviously still looking for me to work out who'd been shooting him before, and I'd not completely forgotten about him, but I figured he'd driven off and hidden as I hadn't seen him in a while. He certainly had other ideas. Took out my engine, I popped smoke to repair, but someone had already seen the smoke plume coming from my engine deck and took care of me. Not going to stand for that though, and I don't really want to bring the Ho-Ri as a backup right now. So we're back out in an STB backup again. This Japanese, this area of the Japanese tree, sorry, does not really have a great deal of tanks in it. So you're either going to be needing backups on your STB, or you're going to be dropping down to the Ho-Ri. In this case, I took the backup option. Pushing through, I know there is an M56 up here somewhere, and I can hull break him with the HEAT FS. So first I've just got to find him. Potentially very risky driving through all these bushes. I'm going to be making a lot of noise. Movement is going to give me away, and I don't know how much attention he's going to be paying, but I can still hear him firing, and he has just killed someone. So it seems that he's a bit preoccupied. There he is. Now, one feature I've not shown in this video at any point, unfortunately, is the pneumatic suspension. Now, I'm not personally really a fan of it. The tank comes with only -6 degrees of gun depression, and even worse, only +9 degrees of gun elevation. And while your pneumatic suspension can knock another 5 degrees off that depression, taking it down to -11, that will also then lower your elevation down to a pathetic +4, and that gets you killed a lot. So I'd rather, personally I think, be in the Leopard. The additional turret armour and the additional depression and elevation I do find make a bit more difference than that stabilizer, unfortunately. Most of the times I'm trying to ambush people, and stabilizer isn't as important. But when upgraded, they play very similar, and I can certainly see why some people would lean towards the STB. For a more aggressive playstyle, having that stabilizer will make a much bigger difference. This has not been the most enjoyable of vehicle grinds for me. Certainly early on it was incredibly painful and I was hating this tank. I didn't expect to end up with any footage for it at the end. Quite pleased I have done, and once it's fully spaded out, who knows, I might be able to knock out another video in the future with a few better games. Hopefully at some point there will be an ammo tweak and the APDS and HEAT might even start doing good post-pen damage. I'm not going to hold my breath, but if there is a change, I think that's going to be the perfect time to revisit this. For the moment though, our team is not doing too great. We've got majority caps, but we do not have majority numbers. It's 906 turning up, and something else already on the C point before he arrived. So I know I've got at least 2 opponents down here. The I6 is disabled, he doesn't have a breach. I would normally charge him to finish him off, but knowing there's someone else around, I'm reluctant to. T95 turns up, get his engine first. Again, I should really be able to just finish him off there while he's disabled with his gun to the side. But there's the tank that's been putting me off. It's a T44-100 and I don't really want to go in there. Which is a shame because I've got 2 disabled tanks and then a third target that I could not see. And that kept me out. Thankfully though, teammates have turned up, taken out the 44 and the I6. The T95 burnt down due to lack of FPE. And the situation is now all clear. And with that, that is the end of the video. Not necessarily the best games, any of them, but certainly the best of a bad bunch, and I think shows the ups and downs of all the ammo, and to a reasonable extent the tank itself. So we're going to call it there for today. Sorry for the actually longer than intended length there, but as usual, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.